Assalamualaikum and good day everyone, and welcome back to another session with the English language panel. And today you're with me, Teacher Aiman from SMK Khair Johari. Alright, for today we are going to cover the SPM 1119 paper 3, and our focus for today would be on the discussion task and further discussion task. Now, as many of you know, the candidate discussion part of the speaking test can be particularly challenging. Now, you might find yourself struggling to express your ideas in English, hesitating to start the conversation, or feeling that you're not getting equal opportunities. Now, perhaps you're unsure how to politely interrupt or find yourself repeating the same points. If any of these sound familiar, don't worry. Today we're going to learn a strategy, a technique which is a structured approach that I have developed and have used with my students, and I found that this strategy have helped them to overcome the challenges that we've mentioned before and excel in their speaking tests. Okay, moving on. I hope that by the end of this sharing, actually this is, I have to go back. Sorry. Okay, now before that, let's look at some of the common challenges that you faced in your speaking test. First of all, many of you are uncertain on how to express certain things in English, probably due to the lack of vocabulary that you don't have, struggling to find words. You have ideas, but then you just couldn't find the words. And then when the interlocutor asks you to start your discussion, both candidates are a bit hesitant to take the lead. And then once a candidate starts the discussion, it turns out the speaking opportunities are not distributed equally. And probably this stems from the fact that you don't pre-plan on your role during the discussion. And you know, I understand that many of you have this fear to interrupt your friends because you know you're doing the discussion with your partner. Definitely you want your friends to do best, and you're afraid that you might disturb the train of thoughts. And finally, we have this problem where both candidates continuously discuss the same topic. And I think probably because the other content points in the mind map are a bit difficult, hence that's why candidates resort to discuss the same thing. Moving on. So I hope that by the end of this sharing, you will learn how Sora technique can help you to perform in a candidate discussion, how to initiate and maintain effective conversations during your SPM speaking test, how to apply a variety of phrases for you to agree, disagree, or perhaps express opinions. And then I hope that you'll learn what you can do to manage your time effectively during the discussion, given the fact that for every discussion you only have maximum of 2 minutes for discussion, 1 minute for you to make decision. 2 minutes can fly by really fast if you don't plan what you want to say. And finally, I hope that you will have some ideas on ways to handle common challenges in part 3 of your SPM speaking test. Okay, now, so before we go into detail on the strategy, let's dive on some of the topics that you have to cover to prepare you for your speaking test. First of all, normally we will ask you topics related to yourself, people and culture, consumerism and financial awareness, health and environment, science and technology, and these topics or themes have been covered since you are in Form 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. Now, so I'm sure you actually have the vocab needed for you to discuss on these topics, but the problem here is during the test itself, many of you struggle to find the words. So one way for you to do and prepare yourself for this is to read lots of materials pertaining to this topic so that you will be able to acquire the vocabulary needed to prepare you for the test. Definitely, you want to express your ideas fluently, and therefore, through reading and also discussion after every single time you read something new, it will help to prepare you and make you feel more confident for your speaking test. Next. Now, tip number 2, you need to be prepared with formulaic expressions. Now, during the discussion, you will have to do it with your partner. So we want to make sure that in part 3 of your speaking test, when the interlocutor asks you to start the discussion, no candidate will be like, teacher, today we will discuss about why people prefer to shop online. I mean, come on, this is the third part of your speaking test, okay? It's not the time for you to address your interlocutor. But for this part of the test, you should only address your partner. So when interlocutor asks you to start your discussion, immediately say something like this. Shall I start first? Hasis, do you mind if I start first? Azham, would you like to go first? You know, things like that. I mean, there are tons of ways for you to start discussion. So you think of the best way that would impress the interlocutor and assessor and how you want to go about doing it. And then you will definitely have to give your opinions, and these opinions are taken from the mind map. So what can you say to express opinion instead of saying the normal, I think? So you can say something like, from my perspective, the way I see it, I believe that, okay? So these are just a few. Next, you will have to justify your reasons. Your ability to justify reasons will show and demonstrate your critical thinking. Okay, and definitely you want to elaborate a little bit more on your opinions that you've mentioned before. Now, there's one way of doing this is by saying, my reason for saying this is because, or this is due to the fact that, well, the reason is simple, something along that line. And next, you definitely will have to agree, disagree, or perhaps you partially agree with your partner. Now, I'm sure that during discussion, you want to show the different degree of agreement with your partner. But the thing is, when it comes to the test, you will have a lot of things that you need to think of. So instead of bringing yourself more problems for you to think of, more burden on yourself, I think that would be a better idea and a better strategy for you to just agree with your partner. Why agree with your partner is the best strategy? Because when you agree with someone, all you have to do is say why or whatever points they've mentioned before, and that particular point is why you agree with them. But here's the thing, if you disagree with your partner, definitely you will have to provide a counter argument why you disagree with someone. And to think of a counter argument, I think that would just add more burden to yourself when you only have around 2 minutes for you to discuss. So better strategy would be to just agree. But I'm not saying, disclaimer here, I have to make it a point to say this to you. I'm not saying that you cannot disagree with your partner. All I'm saying is that a better strategy would be to just agree. And finally, to stall. Now, here's the thing. Why do you need to prepare yourself with strategy or phrases on how to stall? First of all, sometimes people will ask you difficult questions or they keep out questions and you have problems to formulate your ideas. So by learning the strategies of formulaic expressions for you to stall, you will be able to avoid awkward silences or hesitation. So I know that you struggle to find words like what I'm doing right now, so I'm trying to stall instead of keeping quiet. Instead of doing that, you can say, how do I say this? So by having various strategy or various formulaic expressions for you to stall, you'll be able to, sort of drag the time a little bit and avoid keeping quiet. Moving on. Okay, now tip number 3 would be for you to delegate the task equally. Now, how to do this? I'm sure that by now you would know who will be your partner for your speaking test. Am I right? So what you can do with your partner is before the test itself, you decide with your partner who's going to be speaker 1 and who's going to be speaker 2. Now, which candidate should be speaker 1? Decide on who's the better speaker. If you think that you're more fluent than your friend, then you'll be speaker 1. Okay, why do we do this? We want to ensure that you don't waste 20 seconds for you to think of what you want to say. Instead, you're busy delegating or, dividing the points among you two. So I've seen this happening so many times. Candidate did not utilize 20 seconds before answering the question for them to think about what they want to say, but instead they are busy, deciding who should talk about this point, who should talk about that point. So I think that's a very bad idea. So instead, if you do this, you'll be able to solely focus on what you want to say for that particular point. Say, speaker 1 will talk about no crowds and speaker 2 will talk about time saving. So instead of focusing on other things that don't really matter, you can utilize that 20 seconds for speaker 1 to only think about how to develop the point, no crowds. And speaker 2 can utilize that time to think of how to develop or elaborate time saving. I hope it makes sense. Okay, next, tip number 4 would be for you to use sora-sora to carry out and maintain discussion. In Kedah dialect, we say sora is sora, actually, suara. Because I want to make sure that you can actually voice out something during your speaking test. Otherwise, all of us interlocutor will be like Ahmad Nisfu, cakap. Okay, so this is a sample questions. Online shopping is gaining popularity in our country. Here are some reasons why people shop online and a question for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the task. So this is what I mean by, you have time to look at the task and think of what you want to say. So you shouldn't be using this time for you to divide the content points with your partner. Okay, so what is SORA? SORA is step S, for you to start your discussion. Step O, give your opinion. Step R, justify your reason. And step A, ask for your partner's opinion. And speaker 2, how do you continue the discussion and keep it going? By saying again and agree with your partner's opinion. So here, step S is say again and agree with your partner's opinion. It is not enough. It won't be enough if you just agree with your partner without saying it again. What is it that you are agreeing about? And then continue with step O, give your opinion. Step R, justify your reason. And step A, to ask for your partner's opinion. So you will keep on doing these steps until the interlocutor stops you from continuing your discussion. Okay? Cool. So this is a sample discussion, okay, using the sora-sora technique. So speaker 1 will probably start off the discussion by saying, shall I start first? Speaker 2, yeah, sure. You see, when you say yeah, sure, give it a little bit of life. Don't say yeah, sure. Give a bit of life to your discussion. So speaker 2 will continue the discussion by saying, first and foremost, I feel that people like to shop online because there are no crowds. I say this because if you go shopping during Eid or Chinese New Year or even Deepavali, there will be a lot of people. But if we shop online, that will not be a problem. What do you think? I completely agree with you. As you said, some people shop online because they don't like crowd. In addition to what you said, I believe some time saving is also a reason why people shop online. My reason for saying this is because some people are very busy with work and they don't have time to go shopping. Don't you agree with me? I was just thinking that. I understand that time saving is why people shop online. But if you ask me, people also shop online because they can get better prices, seeing that there are many sales online. Do you have anything to add? Speaker 2 will continue. Well, of course, I get what you mean completely. Like you said, nowadays many people like to shop online because they can get better prices. However, I cannot help but feel that people shop online because it is convenient. The reason is simple. For example, me, I don't like to go out and walk from one shop to one shop. It's tiring. At home, I can just order. What say you? So what you can see here, I try to utilize a various strategy when I want to elaborate and justify reasons why I say something. So you can go on with giving factual reason, or you can utilize your own personal experience or preferences as to why you justify something. Well, this depends on the type of questions actually. Okay, so you can see here that actually for you to maintain your discussion, you don't really have to think that much. That 20 seconds should be utilized and focus solely on how to elaborate your reason. Because why? Step S, when you have to say again and agree with your partner, you don't really have to think much about it. You can definitely refer to your mind map. Step O, when you want to express your opinion, still you're going to refer to your mind map. Now step R, when you have to justify your reason, then you will have to think of something. And step A, when you want to ask your friend's opinion, your partner's opinion, this one is very simple. You don't really have to plan anything for you to say that. So here I've already break down that out of all 4 strategies, the only part where you have to really think of what you want to say is in step R. So I really hope that it goes to show that actually that 20 seconds given for you to think of what you want to say is actually enough, provided that for every single turn you only talk about one point. Okay? All right, let's continue. Now, you can also use Sora to make decision. After you have discussed the mind map, now you're going to decide on one content point and make decision. Okay? So this is the sample question. Now you have about a minute to decide together which is the most popular reason people shop online. Bear in mind that you don't have to discuss all the points because you have done that. Here, all you have to do is showcase the language when you want to come to an agreement. So how can you go about doing this? So you can use Sora to make decision. But speaker 1, you can start your discussion, give your opinion, give your reason, ask for your partner's opinion, and speaker 2, say again and agree or disagree with your partner's choice, give your opinion, give your reason, and finally agree again as a conclusion. Now for this part of the test, you only have about 1 minute for you to complete the task. You will not going to be penalized if you're not able to come to an agreement. But here's the thing, we want to see the language that you produce in order for you to negotiate towards an outcome. Okay, so therefore, if you feel like you're able to concise everything within that 1 minute, it is important for you to make sure that you do step A, speaker 2, it's your job. You must make sure that you agree again as a conclusion. Why? We want to have a really good end to our discussion. Okay, so let's see how you can do this. So speaker 1, probably you can start off by saying, which one do you think we should decide on? In this part of the test, you definitely will have to act a little bit lah. Give the performance of your life. So actually you know what you're going to say, but you're going to pretend that you don't know. So you're going to say somewhere like, so I'm not so sure. What do you have in mind? Speaker 1 will say, I strongly believe that the most popular reason why people like to shop online is because they can get better prices. You know, the reason I say this is there are many discounts and vouchers. Also free shipping vouchers. If you buy on TikTok or Shopee, you can claim a lot of coupons and vouchers. Hence, that is why the prices on TikTok and Shopee are so cheap. What do you think? That makes sense. As you said, some people shop online because they can get better prices. I think time saving is also a popular reason. My reason for saying this is because people are very busy with work. However, on second thoughts, I have to agree with you as I feel that your reason is very convincing. Well, I guess we can agree that the most popular reason people shop online is because they can get better prices. Okay, so this is just a sample. Definitely, this is not the, what do you call that, the only way for you to go about doing this. For the good students, I think that definitely you have the skills on how to direct your discussion. But for those students who feel that, speaking test is difficult, this is a sample of discussion that you can carry out for you to make decision. And if you notice that most of the vocabs that I use are actually simple ones, so you can actually use this as well. So there's no excuse as to why you cannot score this paper. Okay, now let's move on to the final part of our discussion, task. So this is a sample question. Okay, now this question is going to be asked to you after the interlocutor asks you to return the booklet. Okay, and you cannot refer to any kinds of material, and these questions will be read out to you. So this is a sample question. You've been talking about why people shop online, and now let's hear your opinion on this. In what ways does advertising on social media influence people's buying behavior? Now here's the thing, when we read these questions, definitely we feel like, I think I got what it means. But then again, when these questions are being read out to you, then it's a different story. Okay, so some students find it difficult for them to understand the questions when it is being read the first time. So if you have this problem, you can actually ask the interlocutor to repeat the questions. But here's the thing, there's also a way on how to request for the interlocutor to repeat the question. Never say, teacher, I don't understand. Teacher, repeat. That's a big no-no. Okay, never say you don't understand something, but instead say something like, I'm really sorry, teacher, I didn't quite catch that. When you say, I'm sorry, teacher, I didn't quite catch that, probably it's because the interlocutor didn't read it, properly. Probably she mumbles a little bit, so it's not entirely your fault. You just can't quite catch that. So yeah, ask the interlocutor to repeat the question. Next, tip number 6 would be for you to be prepared with useful phrases for you to stall. So when you want to stall, probably you can say, let me think. Well, that's an interesting question. Let me see. So when you want to express uncertainty, probably you can say, I'm not so sure, but, well, actually it's hard to say, teacher, but, okay? Or if you want to ask for clarification, could you repeat that, please? What exactly do you mean by? So what exactly do you mean by? You can actually ask your partner when you carry out that discussion if you want your partner to clarify certain things for you. Or if you want to buy time, you can say, that's a good point. I haven't thought about that before. Give me a moment to think. This particularly can be done when the teacher asks you the KBAT question. Okay? So now, I want to share with you some strategy that I've used with my students in order for them to at least respond something during the KBAT questions, the further discussion task. So what can you do? You can use this AAA step for you to stretch longer response. In this part of the test, you have 2 minutes for you to discuss on the topic. Okay, so I would say each candidate will have around 1 minute of talking time. So we want to make sure that we can stretch our response and make it longer so that we can fulfill that 1 minute. Okay, so what you can do here is, step A, admire the question. How do you admire the question? Wow, teacher, that's an interesting question. I've never been asked that kind of question before. Step 2, admit that your answer might be wrong. I mean, that's a difficult question, isn't it? I mean, you don't have answer for everything. So you can say something like this. I have to be honest, teacher, I'm not really an expert in this, and therefore I might be wrong. And step 3, then only you answer the questions. Definitely, you still have to attempt. Even if your answer is wrong, at least attempt and answer the question. The way I see it, I feel that, so here I'm saying a lot of things, but I have yet to answer the question. So this is a sample response. That's an interesting question. I've never been asked that kind of question before, teacher. But you know what? I have to be honest with you. I'm not an expert in this, so I might be wrong. But the way I see it, I feel that social media makes people want to shop more because it gives them better prices. What do you think, Lina? Would you agree with me? Once you have given your answer, immediately ask for your partner's opinion and let your partner answer the question. Now, I normally would recommend students who feel that the questions is difficult, you be the one who use this strategy. So that why? At least you say something, you showcase that you're brave enough to attempt the questions, you said something, and then you ask for your partner's opinion. Okay, and if let's say you're paired with a really good partner, then what you can do next is tip number 8, for you to use Sora to steal your partner's idea. So how can you go about doing this? You can say, you are absolutely right. I totally agree with you when you said social media gives better prizes. In my opinion, I also think social media makes people spend more because it offers better prizes. My reason is simple. Take TikTok, for example. TikTok Shop offers a lot of discounts and vouchers, which is why you can see now a lot of people prefer to shop at TikTok and FB Market. They promote their products really good. What do you think? Now, here's the thing. If you think that for those who are already good speaker, this is just a strategy for you to stall your idea. But for the weaker ones, you bear in mind that there's no reason why you should keep quiet. There is still a strategy. And if you look at the word choice that I use simple words. And these words are words that you understand and you can use as well. Okay? But for those students who want to score band 6, definitely you will have to use a more, how do we call that? Less common lexis, okay? The wow words. Now, tip number 9, be prepared with various strategies to tackle the hiccups during speaking tests. I know that many of you can speak in English, but the problem here is because part 3 of your speaking test is the part where you have to discuss with your partner, and how you perform will be influenced by how your partners react, whether or not your partners give the same energy or bounce your idea. So if, let's say, your partner, you have a really good partner, but then your partner won't stop talking, okay? Interrupt in a polite way and then use Sora. So you can say, sorry to interrupt, but I totally agree with you when you said, or you can say, you explained it really well. Now let's discuss this point next. Shall we move on to this point now? The way I see it, I think, so many students, they know that and they realize that their partner just won't stop talking. But here's the thing, they don't know how to interrupt. And that affects their confidence and affects their performance next. Okay? But if you have a partner, okay, who don't want to talk, what can you do here is, you wait for 5 seconds and then you ask them questions. What do you think? Which one do you prefer, Hasif? Do you think it's a good idea? What's your point on this? What's your opinion on this point, Khadija? Okay, so you can do this. And then if still your partner refuses to talk, just carry on with the discussion. What you are showing here to the assessor is you are considerate enough to include your partner in the discussion, even if your partner refuses to talk. Okay? So I guess we have come to the end of my session. So know this, the most difficult task is overcoming mental barriers to speaking. So you have this mindset, I cannot speak in English, and therefore that is why you just couldn't find ways on how to improve yourself. So I really hope that throughout our session, today you've seen how you can further prepare yourself in order for you to do better in your speaking test. Okay, I guess that's it from me today. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.